Welcome, welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I have an amazing guest with me today. Please welcome Sharon Hino, who is a licensed professional counselor, a transformational coach, a stroke to survive thriver. Is that right?
Stroke survivor to thriver.
To thriver.
And that's part of my, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, and you're here to help us rewrite our internal dialogue because let's face it, some of our internal dialogues are crappy.
I mean, it's input, output, and input. I can throw out a statistic if you want it. This is
That would be amazing.
Okay, this is a fact. Because I've done a lot of these lately, and I love helping people do this. But the statistic is 85% of our thoughts. Okay, well, first let me back up. We have, it's a big number. I'm not sure why that is. 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. Some are more active thinkers than others, which I can relate with that. 85% of those thoughts are negative.
Mm-hmm.
90% are ruminating, meaning repetitive, poking you, poke, poke, poke.
Yes.
Then the other research is, and this has gone down from what it was like 10 years ago, because I've done a lot of research in my professional life, and then just life experience for myself. But for every negative thought we have to put in 5 to 7 positives to negate it.
Right.
So I'm not a mathematician, but if somebody wants to sit there and do the math. So when we have the TV on and we're listening to the news or we're watching NPR and we've got that, it's just a lot. I mean, it's a lot out there that's negative. We really have to be intentional with putting positive in.
Right.
And that's part of the exercises that I do with rewriting that internal dialogue.
Which then answers the question on why so many people think that they can't have a successful business versus having a successful business.
Right. So
yeah,
let's go back to elementary school days. If the receptionist from the office came over the PR and said, Samantha, please come to the principal's office. Dr. Joe wants to see you today. Or, what is your go-to thinking in that moment?
I'm in trouble.
It's a big OS, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
And then you get there and the principal's like, you're the student of the day. You get a pencil. Right? Because nothing in your history really proves that you're getting called for in trouble, but you could be the star of the class.
Right.
The honor roll, the student, whatever. But the go-to is, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Where that comes from, it is imprinted on us from our parents. And this isn't about hating our parents. I love my parents. I'm blessed to have them both here and alive with me today. But it is imprinted on us from them. Right? So we have to very intentionally with our children and next generations teach them that is not the truth. That is not their truth. It is not the truth. You have to understand. A lot of people, our parents and their parents came out of Great Depression. Right. So that's what we are all developed. And we've had some crappy stuff go on, if I can say that. Yeah. We've had some stuff. I mean, we've had some stuff. Now, I always look at out of the stuff are opportunities. So rewriting the internal dialogue where people go, I can't have a successful business. My business won't be successful is really from what they hear from others.
Right.
Envision this. Oh my God, I have this great idea. Who's the first person you're most excited to say it to? And who do you go to?
My mom.
And what does she say? Oh my God. Oh my God. What are you going to do? Oh my God. Wait, you're going to leave this to go do that? Because she's operating out of fear. It's not out of her not thinking that don't have it in you. She's not even going down that. She's going down that, oh my God, she's not going to even pay her bills. She's going to go bankrupt. She's going to lose her house, her living conditions. I have to move home with me. How am I going to, it's a rabbit hole.
Right. Which is the same for those like me that are married. We tend to go to our husbands.
Right.
And
Right.
same message, which sometimes becomes worse.
Right. Well, and I've worked with couples in my practice, and I laugh, because they're like, "Oh my God, he came home and he bought a boat." And I'm like, that probably needs to be a wish list item until y'all had the discussion. It doesn't mean you can't have a boat and won't have a boat, but it might have to take some steps, right?
Right.
So rewriting the internal dialogue, it's not sprinkling fairy dust. If there was fairy dust that we could sprinkle, I refer to God all the time. I mean, I'd be sitting right up there with him, looking down at everybody, just sprinkling fairy dust. It just, you got to do the work, right? But the cool thing is, it is a formula. It is cognitive behavior therapy. It is available to everyone. It doesn't mean you have to go to therapy. So I take the skills. It's not all of CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, because it's not appropriate for the platform, but I take those very teachable skills and teach them to individuals.
Right.
So you have entering entrepreneurship is not for the faint at heart,
No.
right?
No.
It is, you've got to be willing to ride the wave. Part of business is up and down and up and down.
Yep.
And it's not for everybody, because some people are like, I cannot handle the wave, and that's fine.
Right.
But it also doesn't mean you have to conform yourself to what is someone else's truth. And so I will share in my beginning work with people, journaling is a must.
Yes.
I mean, I have these things all over the house, and it's not in your phone. And I'm gonna share. Look, I have my Marshalls tab. I love Marshalls for journals. It is essential to write because there is a kinetic exercise. The physical of writing, the visual, the auditory of reading it back. There is a connection. So the process is to write it, and then we go back and do several exercises within it, right?
Right.
I will give a hint. When you write, if you are finding that you are using the word should, could have, should have, if you're using always, never, those are absolutes. They're judgment. Pretty much every statement can be written without the use of those words.
Right.
So, for example, I should have used money from my last launch to invest more in advertising. I'm trying to wing this on my own, and I wish I would have allocated that money differently.
Mm-hmm.
Going forward, I'm going to make adjustments, right? The other one just shuts me down, makes me feel deflated. The other one gives me opportunity for action and for change, right?
Yep.
Should puts a lot of shame on people, right? Should puts a lot of shame on people. Bronnie Bren, I don't know if you've heard of her. She's a writer. Oprah had her on back in the day. I mean, she is like the guru of the research of shame. And so feelings of anxiety and depression require action. They're movement. Sometimes it might move us backwards. Sometimes it moves us forward. And it's not bad. We just, we don't want to catapult, and we don't want to get stuck. Shame is what gets us stuck.
Right.
Right. So you have a business venture that didn't work. Failed miserably. You invested money, you didn't get the return on investment, and you're like, I'm a terrible business person. I suck. I can't do this. I'd have to go get a job.
Right.
That is not a truth. It takes reflection. I attempted a business. I took a loss, but I am an entrepreneur. I feel in the core of who I am, I need to either put that one aside and move on from it, or figure out what worked, what didn't work, and what needs to be improved to move forward. No judgment in that at all. But as business owners, entrepreneurs, when we make those, I don't use the word mistakes, I say discoveries, we hold on to them, we beat ourselves up, and, of course, we share them with family and friends that are like, I told you so.
Exactly.
So don't talk to family and friends about this. This is where coaches are critical for us.
Yes.
I have coaches, because I don't want to talk to my family and friends about what I'm doing.
Right.
I mean,
I have a coach too.
yeah. Well, I mean, in any business, if you're selling something, you had better have that as some version for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just, if you're a hairdresser, you better get your hair done. If you're a nail technician, you better get your nails done. If you sell shoes, you better have nice shoes. So no matter what you offer, if you're offering it, you better be in some kind of way.
Yeah.
A consumer.
And I worked in corporate for like 5 years. And I will tell you that the upper executives had mentors themselves. There wasn't mentors, one mentor for all of them. No, each individual person had their own mentor, or the CFO and the CEO. They had their mentors.
And you know why that is?
Go ahead.
Do you know why that is?
No.
So partially, legally, professional integrity does not allow them to go home and discuss this with family and friends.
Okay.
Right? That's a piece of it. But they also can't come there's teamwork that gets done that you bounce that stuff off, but
Right.
they need a process through what their visions, what their emotions, they have to have that safe space to do that.
Right. That I knew that part. I was like, no, I know there was a legal aspect to it.
I mean, it's an integrity. It's an integrity.
Yeah. Yeah. And 5 years ago, when, this is my 4th small business. 5 years ago, I said, things got to change. I can't be as stressed out. This has got to be a better process.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, the first thing I did was start journaling. And my journals were always about what I was grateful for that day. What was I going to accomplish that day? And everything was in the future tense. So I will make $1 million by X. I will be.
So you're saying it, you're seeing yourself. So someone often asks me, they're like, all right, well, you talk to us about rewriting the dialogue, getting those yucky words out. And then, because I do manifesting, and manifesting is not going to bed saying, I want a Ferrari in the driveway. Right. It's visualizing your life, seeing yourself in a space, and executing the steps that like-minded people in that space do.
Right.
That's manifesting. So it is not so I go to New York and I'm like, I love the Plaza. I love the Four Seasons. Right now I stay in my daughter's little apartment because it makes sense, right? When I go visit her. But I'm like, when she's working or on projects and I go to work, I go sit in their lobby. And that is part of manifesting.
Yes.
Right? That is part of it. I'm not going renting a room that I can't afford, and I mean, I guess those price tags, I'm like, I don't even know if Donald Trump would pay that on a room, But, it's not spending money you don't have. It's not making impulse decisions with what you don't have, but it is operating, knowing it is coming.
Yeah.
Taking the steps. Right. And so that's a big piece of the manifesting, but also if you are in a negative state or space, if you have self-limiting beliefs, and sometimes the kicker is, this is the hard work, we don't even know we have them.
Right.
Until we start journaling. And then we're like, wow, I can't believe I keep writing that.
Right.
Money's a big one. What did your parents, once again, our grandparents' parents came out of Great Depression, right? Yep. These are generational messages held down. What is your money story? You may make a lot of money and then it goes away. I bet somewhere in there's a negative relationship with money.
Right.
Opportunities, you always miss it. Are you missing it, or you're not taking action because there's a fear of success?
Yeah.
Because you were taught success is bad.
Right.
Right. I do use scripture in my work. Not really. Scripture inspires me, and then it may come into my work. Nowhere. One thing, because I grew up believing that those people were supposed to be wealthy. Money is not good. It was always a spot of fighting. Mom and dad fought all the time. They probably still do. Like, I can't even don't talk about money around them. They have a scarcity mentality. There's just a fear of it. And I know with their backgrounds, and I'm my grandparents, lovely people, but we grew up in very humble things.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, I believe that was my truth. I made money, but I got rid of it really quick because I didn't want the fight.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
I didn't want the fight. Money brings fights. Well, guess what? I've rewritten that.
Right.
Money, and in the Bible, all through the Bible, it is abundance, not just financially. David, Jacob, Moses, Abraham, these men, they had trials and tribulations throughout their life. God got them through, but they lived good lives.
Right.
Because they served and gave to others. So the money is a good thing.
Right.
It has, I mean, it can be used for good. Money has no value. I'm gonna take that back. Money has no value. It can be used for very good things.
Right.
Right. Money.
And I want to go back just a little bit. When you talked about taking the bad energy, like the bad stuff that's around us that keeps us in that negative mindset. The news, I can't watch the news.
No. I check it once a week. I check it once a week. I scroll through something on my phone that just gives me the updates. I mean, I live in a hurricane zone in the middle of hurricane season. I gotta be informed. If I see the neighbors all backing up and moving, I'll be like, wait, what happened? Is it coming?
You know what? I figured if it's really important, it's gonna be on social media. And I'll be honest with you, I see a lot more things first on social media versus the news.
I do too. And if it's my interest and I feel like it is something I need to be more involved with or no, I'll go look it up. But I tell my clients, turn that NPR off.
Yep.
Turn the news up. The news is for us just to be informed that it has turned into something else. I'm not getting into that discussion. I'm just leaving it there.
Yep. And there's some TV shows I cannot watch either.
TV shows can be very negative. I mean, I find myself, because I constantly, I think in our lives, we all get lazy with our own stuff, and even like mindset work and positive thinking and keeping things out is constant intentional living. And there are times I get lazy and I'm like channel surfing and I'm like, oh wait, but when I'm living very intentionally, things don't even appeal to me. Like, ew, I don't watch that. Ew, I don't even want that.
Right.
I will share when you talk about mindset and what we know. I said stroke survivor to thriver. When I had a stroke, it was a massive cerebral lesion to the left side of the brain, paralyzed head to toe, could not speak, facial paralysis, head to toe. But I could hear. It did not take my hearing away. The doctor, the prognosis, even being committed into the hospital, was like, she was telling my parents, you're going to have to make accommodations to the house. I'm 26 years old at this point.
Right.
You have to make accommodations. She's never going to walk again. She's going to be handicapped, need round-the-clock care. And if she's lucky, will mentally maybe get to a third grade level. I never, just like you said earlier, you always, I will. I never I didn't even get defensive about it. It wasn't like, oh no, I'm not, right? But I heard those words, but they were not my truth.
Right.
They were what people were saying. They were going by what records, what basically, when someone has this happen, this is the statistics for recovery.
Right.
It never resonated with me. I did not take ownership of it. I did not, and learning how to walk again was not easy. There were times like I had breakdowns and went back to the hospital room. They reeled me and my dad was like, look, we'll take care of you. You don't have to do this.
Right.
And he was like, but if you want to walk, you got to go do that. It was like pretty much, I'll take care of you forever.
Right.
Because it's envision you're 26, you're wearing all the hot Jimmy Choos. I'm dating myself, but Jimmy Choos back in the day. And now they have to physically pick me up, hook me to a trapeze.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn how to brush my teeth again.
Right.
I mean, that living in that moment, that took a lot of mindset work.
Right.
I couldn't do anything else. So, but it was not accepting. And I knew I would be in heels again.
Right.
And I am. And I can run in them. I can play basketball in them. It's not pretty, but I can.
Yeah, but we gotta definitely get away from the negativity. So if for me, again, for me, it was the news, it's the TV, it was even people in my lives that I cut off. Sorry, if you're not a positive um, light in my
Right.
life, can't be part of that life because
Sometimes
I
you have to let go of good people to put the right people in.
exactly,
And it's
exactly,
hard. It's
and
hard.
it's hard. And people don't realize, like, some people ask me, "Well, what do you watch?" I'm like, "I really don't watch TV." Like, my time is spent reading books and doing some research and working towards the goal that I have for my life, for my husband's life, than watching some stupid show that is not productive. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll watch a show maybe a couple of months that is entertaining, that is just not into any of this crap that's going on now and it's
So
possibly
I'm a Turner Classic Movie junkie. I am kind of that nerd. Like I want to be in that wine club. I want to go to that like I'm a TCM nerd. But Sunday afternoons, that's what I do. You know what? Maybe Saturday after I've gotten some stuff done, that's what I do.
exactly.
During the week, it's pretty much reading or talking with people. I do public speaking, so a lot of networking events, and I love it. Like when my child, a lot of people with entrepreneurs, like, well, that's why I don't want to do that because I don't want to work nights. I do it by choice. It's not. I don't have to do anything I don't want to. That's what I love.
Right.
Like I get to dictate my schedule. I do read. I'm not a giant book reader. I'm a short book reader. And then, I I do go to bed early. Like I'm a 9 o'clocker, sometimes 8:30. I just,
But Sharon, think about the most powerful people that we know.
oh,
I want to talk
I
about
like to be
Oprah.
watchers.
I want, let's talk about, I like talking about Oprah. And it's because she doesn't watch TV.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
but
it's
she owns a TV channel. She owns a TV channel creating content for us to watch, but she
yes,
doesn't watch it.
does not watch it. And I'm just picking her, but I'm talking about other CEOs, Bill Gates and Steve
Yeah,
Jobs.
she
They
does not
did
watch
not watch
TV.
TV. They did wake up early. They worked on themselves for 1 or 2 hours a day with meditations, workout, eating clean, and literally writing in their journals. And they went to bed early.
Yeah.
And they went to bed early.
Yes.
Um, so
Sleep is so necessary. Two things are critical and non-negotiables for me. Well, probably three. My daughter is a non-negotiable. I went years without having time with her and paying everyone else to raise her because other people dictated my time.
right.
So then as she's grown, people are like, well, she doesn't need you now. I'm like, no, but she calls me, I'm gone, I go. And Samantha, I'm back and forth between New Orleans and New York. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta go. And, I get to work from anywhere. That's the beautiful.
That's beautiful.
The other piece is the other two non-negotiables are my thinking and prayer time, which are separate things, but I do tend to sometimes I tie them together. But thinking and prayer time, which is a good hour to hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours a day.
Right.
Right. And then I guess it must be negotiable because I completely forgot about it.
It's just
Prayer, I think maybe prayer and thinking time. Those are, my walks. I do take a walk every day.
and the journaling.
Huh?
And the journaling.
Oh, sleep. No, well, the journaling happens in the thinking time. So this is the thing I wanted to share. Thinking time is not prayer time. Prayer time might lead me into thinking time or give me things I want to go back and think about later, right? But prayer time, whether you do meditation, right, that's its own activity.
Right.
Thinking time is where you ask yourself the critical questions. It's where you journal. It's where, and it's not the me time. The me time is getting the nails done, getting the hair done, working out. Thinking time is thinking time. It's writing those dreams down, those visions. How many times are people in the kitchen or guys out cutting the grass and an idea will come in and they're like, I should stop and write that down. That was awesome. But then they're like, I'll do it later and never, ever go back to it.
Yep.
My belief comes from God. I believe those moments are God interjecting. If you're a universe person, plug universe into that. Those visions and ideas need to be written down. I don't use the word pipe dream, right?
Right.
I don't have, my daughter, aspiring actress in New York. New York, the high school is like, she's got to have a backup plan. Part of the high school graduate program is they leave with their first plan, but they have a backup plan.
Gotcha.
I refuse to let my child do it. I said, my definition, my belief is a backup plan is permission to quit. We might redirect and be called to other missions or visions or purposes. And well, we have one purpose, but mission in life, other opportunities. But backup plan is I'm not getting what I want, so I'm gonna go do plan B.
Right. So for someone that is currently in a state of mind that everything that comes out of them is negative, obviously, and that's affecting them in their business.
Get a positive podcast.
Okay.
I would say for that, if it's so, because reading, and some people it's hard, right? So the first easiest thing is watch what music you're listening to. Some of the music today I walked into my brick and mortar business that I do still have here.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked in and it just came up on the radio, right? And we have a pretty low-key radio station playing, and I could not believe what I was hearing. I'm not even going to prevent it here.
Yep.
But I was like, oh my God, we're shutting it down. But you have to listen to the music you're listening to.
Yep.
Right? Podcasts are a great way. Find someone that you really, really inspires you, lifts you up. Even comedians, some are great, but some, they're funny, but it's negative, right?
Right.
Because laughing is happening doesn't mean the message is not negative.
Exactly.
So podcasts, books that are inspiring and uplifting, whether it's a biography or autobiography, just uplifting books help. For me, it's still the top seller book ever written. The Bible is amazing. Really, if you're even a non-believer, just go to it for the story. New Testament's easier. That Old Testament, I'm like, they were crazy. Some of the stuff they did, I was like, whoo. But silence is also golden. Be comfortable with the silence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Through the silence, it just allows you to hear the beauty of the universe around us.
Right.
Even I watch people taking their walks. I live across the street from a beautiful city park, and it's kind of like New York Central Park. So it's City Park here. Well, it doesn't look like that, but I'm just saying it's the urban park, and it's a big green space in the middle of the city. But no, it's not compared to Central Park at all. But I see so many people plugged in, headphones, and maybe they're listening to uplifting things, and that's fine. But one of the things I love about my walks is I just listen.
Right.
And I hear the birds, I hear the crickets, I hear whatever, the children laughing. There's a little choo-choo train that rides through the park, and I hear the choo-choo, that brings joy to me.
Right. And of course, you, like you mentioned before, journaling, but in a positive way where we're changing.
So no, when you journal, some of it's going to be negative, but then we have the opportunity to work with and rewrite it. So if you see those words popping up, that's a little secret sauce I'll give you here. I'll copy my friend's little catchphrase, secret sauce, but is when you go through and journal, go back and circle the words that you see: should, could have, always, never. Those are absolutes. Then go back and rewrite the passage, whatever it is, without those words. One thing about rewriting the dialogue is we do not want to lie about ourselves.
Right.
Right? This is like, I'm going to be a millionaire. I know I am. Right?
Yep.
I've made millions of dollars already. I just haven't held on to it, but I have a different plan going further, right? So I've made 6-figure businesses. I can make 7. It's going to happen. So I write about what my future is. But if I go in and put, I want $1 million next year, and if it doesn't happen, you see what I'm saying? Then I'm building up anxiety.
Yep.
Or if I go in, I know I'm going to be a millionaire, but what if? Get that out.
Yep.
Right? That starts shutting the door. if you go back and you're like, well, I heard your thing about the money story. I went and journaled about that, and there's a lot of negative in there. Think about that. Write about that further.
Right.
And then as you get the negative out, you've got to purge it. Then you can go back and rewrite it. You know, am I going to be a millionaire because all of a sudden I'm going to be Gwen Stefani singing rocks? I would have loved to be a Gwen Stefani and think if I had that talent, you know, I would kill it. That's probably an unrealistic, you know. But do I see myself speaking on stages to thousands?
Exactly.
100%. It will happen.
It will happen. Yep.
I mean, yeah, and I know it. Like I can see it, I know it, I feel it. So that's the But if I go in, well, I tried public speaking in the past, it didn't take off. That'll never work. I'm gonna be a high demand, motivational, inspirational speaker, speaking to thousands, planting a seed of hope. That's what I'm gonna do.
Right.
So, but you got to get the negative out. There was a lot of negative, and I'd love to come back and share that in more in depth of how I did. But I did want to keep it in the business platform here. But if people want to hear my story, they can follow me. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But if it doesn't have the seed of hope, it's hard. You know, you've got to turn the light on at the end of the tunnel.
Right. Right.
And you have to plan and work towards it, but it doesn't mean that you get so caught up in the planning that you're not living in the moment.
Right. That's true.
And so that's part of my program is very intentional living.
Right. And it takes about when I started journaling and started changing my mindset, it took 6 months to create that habit. And then it took a bit. It took a bit for all of that.
I do work with people shorter, but I have the program I have is 12 months for that reason.
Yeah.
You know, people have argued with me. It's so long. I'm like, you're not. I mean, it's an unrealistic goal. I have an individual that wanted me for some private one-on-one work, and I'm starting it. And she's like, so after 5 more sessions with you, I'm gonna be here. And I'm like, no. A, you haven't done any of the work I've asked you to do. So that right there. But B, I'm giving you an injection of positivity and steps and tools, but you're going to have to keep doing it. It doesn't happen overnight. But I give myself daily infusion of mental positivity to bring me through the day.
Right. And that's exactly what I do. And it's morning, afternoon, night. It's all positive. And if any of my family members come into my office, there's anything negative, wait. And then I'll listen to you, and then I will reprocess that and tell you something positive about that, because I grew up in a negative household.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It was awful. And that's just
my family. I have a nickname. I call them the Happy He-Knows. It's a facetious little, but yeah, they're pretty negative Nellies. You know, some people are just born seeing the glass half empty.
Yes.
I'm a glass half full. You can change the lens, but not without the work.
Exactly.
Now, one recommendation I would make for you, Samantha, is if your family's coming into that space and that is your sacred space, I would meet them outside.
Right.
I would not address any of that in that space.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why I said, like, so we wait until after work.
Right. Okay.
Got it. I'll be a good listener, and then I will transform that into a positive thing, because I just know.
Yeah, I mean, you have to keep your space sacred.
Yes. Yep. And a lot of it is our own anxieties that take over and manifest these negative things. As I've seen it both in my daughter and my husband, and I'm like, where did that come from? Like, everything is ready. Like, we go through this process. Nothing could go wrong.
And so, I mean, that can be imprinted on. It can be imprinted on from future generations. Sometimes it's gene pool we get.
Yeah.
Other times, one thing when we put questions, we have to ask ourselves questions, right? To think through. But when planning and hoping and visionary, I'm a visionary. You're a visionary. When you leave questions unanswered, that piques anxiety.
Right. Exactly.
even the question why. Everyone needs to know their why, but you're not going to have that answer right away.
Right.
You're working towards it. But if you're constantly asking yourself questions, I tell people, play detective and fill in what you do know without lying to yourself.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Sharon, thank you so much for being here.
I loved it. I loved it.
This is great. I hope this helped, my audience look at how do we need to rewrite our internal dialogue, because a lot of us are really talking negatively about our own selves, and it's really not doing any good for our own business or even in our own lives, in our relationships and even relationships with our children. So rewriting that internal dialogue is a huge step that we need to take. And Sharon, where can people find you?
So you can find me online. You can Google me because I have done national speaking. You Google Sharon Hino, professional counselor, you'll find me. I have a Facebook page, Sharon Hino. For the ladies, I have a Facebook group, Prosperity Reimagined. And Instagram, shino26. That's really more my lifestyle, which you're fine. I love followers, but I probably do more stuff in the Facebook. But yeah, and then you can contact Samantha because she knows how to find me.
Yes, and I know
Yes,
thank you so
yes.
much, Sharon.
And certainly they can email me. You can share my email. That is for anyone.
To have, yeah.
Yes.
That would be
Yes.
perfect. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
For having me. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.